Welcome, ye weary wanderers, to the Temple of the Rip, where we fall to our knees in praise of the gods of your own creation, their virtues extolled by all who fear their names. It is I, Dave Makes Noises, the fluffy friar of this great temple we call Dungeons & Dragons Storytime on YouTube, and today we're asking the DMs or players of Reddit, what is your favorite god, goddess, or extraplanar entity you've created for a campaign? Be they created for the setting or the result of players being power hungry, and why are they your favorite? Part 1. Right now, I'm a big fan of this god of vengeance I came up with simply because he is the god of all kinds of vengeance to the point of likely insanity. So, on the one hand, you've got the aspect where parents tell their kids not to be naughty, or this god will steal their toys and play pranks on them in retaliation. Basically like a weird all-year Santa Claus that will actually send trickster clerics out to play pranks on people for little things, and especially sends them out to play tricks on bad kids until they're good for their parents. On the other hand, he's also the normal god of vengeance, kind of god of vengeance. I just revealed to my party that this god, a widely accepted god everyone worships a little because you don't want to get on his personal bad side, does absolutely terrible things. There was an island where a lot of the adults were slavers and pirates just to stay alive. Bad people, yeah, and those people specifically should be punished. But when this one woman and her child were separated after being captured by this island, she begged for vengeance so desperately that he immediately acted on the prayer. Nothing specific, just vengeance left up to his imagination. Probably the cruelest thing the woman could have done if she'd known what that meant. So this god did what any insane, incredibly violent individual would do, and send an army of paladins to kill or kidnap the children of that entire island of slavers/pirates. Just the children, and leaving all the adults behind with their children torn from their arms. The paladin left one ship behind with enough space for 2 people and supplies enough for one to leave the island and look for their child. All because one woman prayed for revenge. One of my players wanted to play a chef-like cleric that feeds the hungry, but none of the existing gods fit his character, so Stellas was created, the goddess of food and cooking. She resembles an old woman in a dress and an apron, carrying a wooden spoon and a pot. Her dogma was all about feeding the hungry and not wasting food, and everyone that does not appreciate their food or denies food to those in need of it shall be punished. I really liked her because she was basically just your average grandma, making sure everyone has more than enough to eat, but would not hesitate to hit you with a wooden spoon if you misbehaved at the table. She would send out her followers to provide food to those in need, and people would thank her before each meal. And if you don't eat your veggies, she will definitely come and hit you with her spoon. Lorchem, god of death. You would think of him as your typical lawful neutral, undead-hating, everyone should die at their appointed time type of god. He has a job to make sure that every soul goes to the right place once their life is over, and he's damn good at it. He is strict, but just, and his clerics are mostly in charge of funerary rites and dealing with dead bodies in case of plagues, natural disasters, or wars. The thing is, he travels to the world of the living, a lot, and loves to hang out, in disguise, with normal people. He thinks that he has to make sure that everyone has a good life, so when the time for them to die comes, they don't have any regrets. He also helps adventurers from time to time, especially when it's related to the undead or to someone trying to get immortality. I love him because, all in all, he is a sweetheart. It's just that he landed the grimmest job ever and has a knack for it. I created an entire homebrew pantheon for a series of my campaigns, but the one that sticks out the most is undoubtedly Cypheros, the god of reality, illusion, madness, and trickery. As you can likely guess from his domains, he is indisputably one of the strongest gods in the pantheon, but he's equally insane. Luckily for most, he's a chaotic neutral force that has a pact to not directly interfere with mortal affairs unless it's someone whose power is directly tied to his own. Clerics, warlocks, paladins, etc. Surprisingly, for an omnipotent source of chaos, he's pretty chill most of the time and gets very invested in his followers' lives, treating them as a form of entertainment, and occasionally just showing up out of the blue to talk for a few minutes and offer advice. His main gimmick is that he's, in this world's lore at least, the creator of the Feywild and the originator of wild magic, and often sends his followers, or minions if you asked the man himself for the proper terminology, to do random tasks that he finds funny. TLDR, I made Deadpool a god of reality. My players will suffer. Strap yourself in for this story. It's about to get wild. In the world of the current campaign I'm playing in, it takes place with Greek, Norse, Egyptian, and Catholic mythology all taking place within it. During the 4th session, my party and I, who consisted of me, Lee Nandal, a barbarian soldier who happens to be the princess of Mithril Mountain, a Russian tiefling bard named Ivan, a dumbass monk who gets drunk off milk named Sir Pinecock, a smart-as-hell gnome wizard summoner named Neblin, and our badass tiefling cleric named Stephanie. As I was saying, during our 4th session, we went back to the guildmaster to select another quest. A questionable church who worshipped the goddess Merlin, aka Goddess of Knowledge, was having some trouble within the church, and we were sent in to help. In the church, we discovered that deep beneath it there were cult researchers trying to find ways to break out the old gods from imprisonment. However, most were sealed by Odin, so it would take them a lifetime to release just one. For some insider knowledge, the old gods were the primordial beings that were birthed from the universe, such as Cthulhu. So we went into the basement and discovered a cult summoning a god, but instead opened a portal straight to hell, where 2 demons popped out. My party and I slayed the demons, however our monk got dragged into the first layer of hell because the last demon we slayed used her whip to drag him down to hell. After discussing, my party and I hopped in. Once we found the monk somehow alive, our wizard tried to use a portal spell to take us back to our town. It sort of worked, but ended up with me, Ivan, and Stephanie being trapped in hell. This is where things get interesting. On our travels to escape hell, we ran into a gray demon. Instead of fighting it, our bard Ivan walked up to it and offered it friendship. The gray demon, not knowing this, simply hugged Ivan. We asked for his name, but he never had one. So Ivan gave him the name of Jeffrey. As we made our way to a temple in hell to summon the gods to help us out, the second in command of hell, I can't remember her name, but she is a goddess, finds out we are here and organizes a search party to kill us. Just before we reach the temple, 2 things happen. 1, Stephanie's cleric powers activate, and we discover Stormbreaker, which was the long-lost weapon of Thor in this campaign. The second thing was the search party caught up to us. Jeffrey, the badass gray demon, who was outnumbered 10 to 1, facing Baylors armed to the teeth, told us to go. As we crossed the river Styx, providing the gold to the fiery man, we saw Jeffrey do this. Our DM said, as you leave Jeffrey, you see him snap the neck of one Baylor, rip the arms off another one, and beat it to death with it. Next, you see him bitch slap the second in command of hell, 20 feet down the river of Styx. Keep in mind, Jeffrey is a level 8 creature going up against level 20 and above. When we summon the gods, we see that Jeffrey is still alive, barely breathing, but alive. Us being confident that as level 5 characters we just walked through hell and survived it, persuaded the gods to revive Jeffrey into something new. And Ivan, being a bard, somehow managed to persuade the gods, and Jeffrey was reborn as a Solar, which is ranked just before an Archangel. And that is now Ivan's Warlock patron. TLDR, we went through hell and back and created a new god to become one of our PC's Warlock patron. So you all have possibly read one of my posts, so you would possibly know about Samuel, my player character. He is a human who became a celestial dragon when magic was introduced to his world. From that, he studied and trained his new powers, but wasn't able to access his dragon form till actually being taught by other dragons. This led him to being able to train as the next in line for Lord of Dragons, which he became. Being Lord means you're technically immune to death, and the only way to remove this blessing, curse, is to pass it to your successor. My PC never got that chance when another dragon tried to kill him and possess my PC's body for a while. Once my PC was free, he realized he was going to live forever as a godlike celestial dragon, since all means of passing on the blessing was destroyed by the dragon that betrayed my PC. So now my PC sends bits of himself to other dimensions to 1, find his wife, who had run to escape the betrayer, and 2, find a way to cure the immortality, which so far hasn't been found. It's also wish-proof for those wondering, oh, why not use a wish? That is why I'm able to play the same PC, but in many campaigns. A god of creativity, who's done thousands of things to the setting to make it interesting and cool, and has created many civilizations and lands with mystical properties. His rival is a god of normalcy, as well as calm. He has caused many a calamity, and he and the creative god battle in the constellations on many occasions. Though neither is completely good or bad, and it's actually pretty common for there to be a good normal follower and an evil creative follower. In fact, the better of the two, in terms of morality, is the calm one, as the creative one makes interesting things occur and rises civilizations, sure, but he also destroys them, as a good story has blood and tears. If you haven't caught on yet, you can just search Underverse 0.4 on YouTube. I pretty much just copy-pasted, though I changed the normal one to be more understanding and sustaining rather than destroying. In my world, the goddesses, Fate, Destiny, and Karma, are all sisters. Destiny is spiteful about Fate being better known and more respected, and Fate is entirely unaware of her sister's hatred and is just a good person. Karma has been sitting in the corner kicking people in the shins because they deserve it. So began the party being forced to do what Destiny said, since she controlled their destiny, which was to undermine Fate. Other things that happened are that they also had to set up a date with Destiny and Apollo, because she got the hots for him, and to stop Karma from being nitpicky about why she shouldn't zap people with lightning because they don't share their bagels. I am playing in a campaign right now where another player and I are fallen gods attempting to ascend to our rightful places. He is the satyr night serpent of stars in the sky, and I am the lady water nymph of the starlit pool below, who support each other and squabble like an older brother and his incorrigible younger sister. It's a really interesting party dynamic, as the other players opted to be heroes, some of whom have somewhat devoted themselves to our cause. The Night Serpent is a modest, meditative god of second chances, but never third chances, whereas my goddess is an outspoken, exuberant lover of gifts. Giving and receiving, expensive ones being preferred, otherwise modeled on an Avalon Lady of the Lake guider of heroes. Both gods together value truth and adaptation. My character's downtime consists of teaching bards her songs, trying to recruit followers and shrine-tending otters, and trying to erect shrines and temples in our honor. Gives some really fun objectives for the party, and interesting quests of vengeance towards those who caused us to become so weak. Ishim, minor god of travelers. I am a DM for the first time, and I have this small campaign in a far region of the world. The players encounter ancient Netheral ruins and investigate them. When the Netheral Empire fell, many tried to do something and return their power over the magic. One part of the Empire was in this region trying to conquer divine powers by creating a god and enslaving his will. So Ishim was born. He was the result of continuous sacrifice of devil and celestial souls in arcane rituals. But he realized where he came from. He called all of those fiends and celestials brothers and sisters and refused to help the Netherese. In answer, they tried to separate raw power from him, cutting it away from his consciousness so they can enslave it like a mindless beast. And a mindless beast it was, too powerful for them to control and consumed with hate for what they have done. Netherese put this creature into a pocket dimension and bind it to the territory underground where all of their other failed experiments lasted for thousands of years. And the conscious part was put there to guard his own jail because he couldn't fight his own self. My players encountered him, a creature with a lot less power than he could have, and he asked them for help. He tried to do something alone, and often they would see how his actions had clearly fiendish or celestial methods, but luckily my players decided they wanted to help. Long story short, they freed his powers, and now he wants to do something he always wanted while being jailed: go as far away as he could see. In gratitude, he said that players can come with him in his journeys, travel to other planes of existence, or even to other worlds outside the crystal sphere. So now, the new part of the story can appear. Greetings again, my beloved students of Cosmic Divinity, and thank you for joining us today as we sing the praises of the fictitious infinite. Thank you for blessing our humble temple with your sacred attention, and for doing so to the very end of this video. If you have an incredible god, goddess, or extraplanar being that has illuminated the folk of your campaign, feel free to share about them in the comments below. If you have another story you'd like to share with us, please manifest your glowing, glorious light body over at our official subreddit r/MrRipper, where we gather most of the stories and threads we share on this channel. If you are a DM or a player looking for a group, you will very likely find some friends to roll the bones with over at MrRipper's Group Finder Discord server, a Discord server we designed specifically to help you find a tabletop gaming group. We play Dungeons & Dragons every Saturday over at twitch.tv/fire_n_dice. We go live at 5 p.m. Pacific every week. If you're just here for the stories, come join us Sundays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. GMT for story time over at twitch.tv/MrRipperStream. I hope this week that you walk with mindfulness in your heart and in your every step, feeling immense gratitude for the incredibly rare and sacred human experience that you have been gifted in this incarnation. You could have been a snail or a very good pupper, but here you are, a sweetheart of a human, trying to make sense of it all instead. Just like me. Pretty cool when you think about the odds. Enjoy the trip. If you love me and want to make me smile, please check out my TikTok at Dave Makes Noises. Please sub for Nat 20s. Ding that dong for advantage on your next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Thank you so much again for watching. I love you, and we'll see you next time.